गाना सुना है ये वाला?
नो।
गाना सुना है, दिल दिल पाकिस्तान एकदम फालतू
कौन सा?
सा। बाद में बताते हैं, चलो। क्या चूतिया देश है भाई ये पाकिस्तान। Alright, alright. काफ़ी दिनों बाद क्वेश्चंस बनाने निकला हूँ। क्या है क्वेश्चन भाई? काउंट completes sub array. Count completes sub array in an array. Okay. Constraints that not too high. We are given an array nums consisting of positive integers. We can call an array complete if the following conditions satisfied. The number of distinct element in subarray is equal to the number of distinct element in number of distinct element in so distinct 1 2 3 3 okay 1 is equal to 1 कितने हैं मैंने तुम्हारे 2 3 कितने हैं 2 कितने हैं 2 first portion. एक बार यार मेरे को डाउट क्लियर करना है. Subsequent, sorry. Okay. Pointed approach मेरे को थोड़ा लग रहा है. जाने दो, डोंट केयर. हम क्या मिस करेंगे. let's implement the brute force. Huh. Back to trouble.
guys, welcome back to Take Dose, and in this video we will look at count complete subarrays in an array problem, which is from LeetCode number 2799. Let's now look at the problem statement. In this problem you are given an array nums consisting of positive integers. We call a subarray of an array complete if the following condition is satisfied. Then you have 1 3 1 2 2. So in this case, and if you look at it, then it will be 1 3 1 2. You will have 1 3 1 2 as one subarray, and you can also have 1 3 1 2 2 as another subarray, right? So that will be added by 1. Even if you see this 3 1 2, you have unique element count as 3, so that will be counted as well. And if you look at 3 1 2 2, that will be counted too. So in this case, the total number of subarrays where the unique element count is equals to the total number of unique elements in the array is 4, and therefore the answer is 4. If you look at the second example, you just have one unique element. Okay, one unique element. So all the subarrays, whatever subarray you take, it will always contain one unique element because all the elements are same. So in this case, the number of subarrays are 4 into 5 by 2, which is n into n plus 1 by 2. So that will give you 10. 10 subarrays, and that is why the answer is 10 here. Now, if you look at the of unique elements in the array is 4, and therefore the answer is 4. If you look at the second unique elements in the array is 4, and therefore the answer is 4. If you look at the second example, you just have one unique element. Okay, one unique element. So all the subarrays, whatever subarray you take, it will always contain one unique element because all the elements are same. So in this case, the number of subarrays are 4 into 5 by 2. which is n into n plus 1 by 2. So that will give you 10 subarrays, and that is why the answer is 10 here. Now, if you look at the number's length, it is 1000 and num set I is 2000, right? So if you write n square algorithm in terms of num's length, then that will be 10 to the power of 6, which is below 10 to the power of 8. So if the allowed time limit is 1 second, then you can even pass it with the n square technique. But we will be looking at a better solution instead of generating all the subarrays, because what you could have done is generate all the subarrays in order of n square.
हम्म, थोड़ा बहुत गलत होगा लेकिन ऑलमोस्ट सही रहेगा। मैं अभी जैसे टाइप कर रहा हूँ ना, तो मैं नीचे नहीं देखता कीबोर्ड में, मैं स्क्रीन पे ही देखता हूँ। ठीक है, थोड़ा बहुत गलत होता है तो बैक जाके फिर मतलब टाइप करता रहता हूँ, ऐसे नीचे नहीं, ऐसे ऐसे देख के नहीं करता अब। हाँ देख, मैं ऐसे करता, देख जैसे ये ना, मैं स्क्रीन पे देखता हूँ अगर सही टाइप हो रहा है, ठीक है, तो ऐसे, वरना मैं नीचे नहीं देखता कीबोर्ड में कि कहाँ पे कौन सा की है, ये सब मैं नहीं देखता अब। थोड़ा बहुत तो टाइपिंग में वो हो गया है, कोड लिखते वक्त तो बिल्कुल नहीं, मतलब उस समय तो पूरा हाथ बैठा हुआ। जैसे कोड लिखता हूँ ना, तो कोड में ज़्यादातर जो जो वर्ड्स चाहिए होते हैं उसके लिए मतलब पूरा हाथ बैठा हुआ है कि वहीं जाएगा मेरा हाथ, इधर उधर नहीं जाएगा। यार अब इसमें स्कैन करना पड़ेगा ना, तो सिंपल था। फॉलो square only. Some kind of dry shit. अच्छा हाँ इसमें ऐसे होता है। Java।
time. And then for each of the subarray, you need to keep a track of the number of unique elements, right? So if you keep a track along with parsing all the subarrays, then it will be n square. Otherwise, n cube is not going to pass here, which will be 10 to the power 9. Now let's look at an observation for better understanding. Let's say that we are looking at a subarray from start to end, and the number of unique elements we are seeing are 3, which is 1, 2, 3. The total number of unique elements in this entire array is 3 only, because we have 1, 2, 3 as the only unique elements. The size of the array is 7. So since the number of unique elements in the subarray from start to end equals to the number of unique elements in the entire array, therefore this subarray from start to end is actually a complete subarray. So this needs to be counted. Now if this needs to be counted, like let's say if 0 to 3 contains the unique count equals to the total unique count of the entire array, then don't you think from 0 to 4 the count will be same, and 0 to 5, 0 to 6, everybody will be having the same count? Because if you already contained the number of unique elements to be same as the entire array, then that means all the indices to the right having the same start point must be repeating. So 4, 5, 6, all these elements must already be present in the array from 0 to 3. Okay, so that is why if you have found a subarray from a given start to end point having the unique count equals to the total unique count of the array, then from the same start point you can start building to n plus 1, n plus 2, n plus 3, and so on till the end. So the number of complete subarrays with the same start point will be equals to n minus n in this case, which is 7 minus 3, which will be 4. That means 0 to 3, 0 to 4, 0 to 5, and 0 to 6, all of them. But there may be other start indices having the same unique count for the same end index. So what I mean to say is maybe 0 to 3 was containing unique count as 3, but if we try from 1 to 3, maybe this will also have unique count to be same because the start index was repeating, or maybe from 2 to 3 will have the same unique count. Without trying, you cannot know. So if 0 to 3 is working for us, then 0 to 4, 0 to 5, 0 to 6, all of them will be working, and that is how we will be adding n minus n. But I have to also try for the other start points moving from left to right until I remove all the repeating elements from the left. That means if I remove this one and move the start pointer to the right, then are we having the same unique count from 1 to 3? The answer is yes. We are still having the same unique count. You see, 2, 1, 3 are all unique, and so the unique count being 3. So this will also contribute to n minus n, which will be plus 4, because you have 4 endpoints starting from 1, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and 1 to 6, isn't it? And again, I will move the start pointer to the right hand side and try from 2 to 3. So if you see from 2 to 3, you just have 2 unique elements. The total unique count of the array is 3. So this is invalid, and then you will start moving the end pointer to the right to again make the start to end as valid. Okay. So you can understand that this can be handled by using the 2-pointer approach, and you can also assume that this is a variable size sliding window problem. And in order to understand about the count of unique elements, we can maintain a hash map. So simply a hash map will keep track of whatever element you are seeing and how many times you are seeing it. So when you had 0 to 3, when you
क्या भाई अनुराग, हीरो पानी लेके आ रहे हो क्या?
सलामी तो भारी करके तो बोला था भोसड़ी के इतना पानी में तुम भी डाल देगा।
अरे पी गए, बैठे बैठे आदमी पी जाता है। हाँ, अरे अब तो आदत सी है मुझको ऐसे जीने की। टुडुडुम। तुम पानी पिएगी नहीं? पानी नहीं पीते हो कैसे चलेगा? इससे पानी नहीं पियोगे, गर्मी का सीजन में सूख जाओगे। डोला दिखाओ तो भाई, डोला मेरा, डोला डोला। प्रभु, कैसे हो, कैसे हैं आप? चूसेंगे आप हमारा? थोड़ा सा भाई।
एक बार ले ही लेगा,
हाँ?
एक चूस ही लेगा,
क्या?
एक बार चूस भी लेगा तो थोड़ी मैं किसी को जानना बता दूँ।
वही तो, चूस भी लेगा, हम नहीं बताएंगे भाई। एक बार अनुराग, थोड़ा सा।
अगर वे लूटे हो तो एक झटका निकाल देते हैं।
अबे यार, देख रहे हो हम सिस्टम में बैठे हुए हैं। तुम्हारा देखो डिस्टेंस पास है भाई।
मेरा सिचुएशन देख रहे हो।
भाई मेरा भी सिचुएशन देख रहे हो, यहाँ पानी घुस गया, हमारा कान फट गया है। उठ जाओ भाई, थोड़ा मन करा दिए तुम, थोड़ा सा। अरे क्या करना है, ऐसे तुमको ऐसे रखना है साइड में लैपटॉप, कुछ करना थोड़ी है। अनुराग, अरे भाई तुम्हारा सामने है यार, समझो। देख रहे हो हमको तार वार लांग के जाना पड़ेगा।
मैं पूरा सुन लिया।
अरे भाई जाओ यार, नहीं खिलाओगे छोड़ दो भाई, ठीक है, नहीं खिलाना चाह रहे हो, कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं भाई, कोई बात नहीं, मेरा भी दिन आएगा। क्या हुआ, कैसे हुआ?
Hi everyone, this is Rakesh, and today I'm going to be show how accurate is OpenAI recently launched O3 model. तो आज बेसिकली करने क्या वाले हैं कि we are taking the ADRs one of the most difficult advanced questions and JEE advanced like और mathematics questions को pick करेंगे और पूछते हैं कि whether O3 OpenAI O3 model is able to answer that questions or not. If they do, then very phenomenal. But let's try. कोशिश करते हैं like so what I did ये ऑफिशियल all the questions है, will try 2 or 3 questions. Okay, तो मैंने क्या किया इंटरनेट पे जाके मैं फिट जी का जो भी क्वेश्चंस विद आंसर सॉल्यूशन है ना, मैं उसको लाइक जो स्क्रीन पर दिख रहा है मैं उसको डाउनलोड किया और द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चंस बस सिंपली स्क्रीनशॉट डालते हैं और देखते हैं कि क्या है इसमें। तो लेट मी तो द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज दिस राइट। ओके, तो ये क्वेश्चंस पूछते हैं और अच्छा सा प्रॉम्प्ट डालेंगे। बहुत बेसिक सा प्रॉम्प्ट डाले हैं कि ये जेई एडवांस की मैथमेटिकल क्वेश्चंस है और इसको बहुत वेरी वेरी डेप्थ में थिंक करना है लाइक और करेक्ट ऑप्शंस को सेलेक्ट करना। सो लेट्स सी कि ये कर भी पाता है। राइट नाउ वी आर यूजिंग द O3 मॉडल। ओके ओके, इट्स स्टिल थिंकिंग। तो यहाँ पे कुछ वेट करना पड़ेगा, कुछ टाइम, कुछ क्या मे बी 1 मिनट, आई एम नॉट श्योर। उसके बाद देखते हैं कि वेदर इट इज एबल टू गेट द आंसर।
ओए
व्हाट इज हैपनिंग गाइस? आई थिंक मिसअप हो गया। लेट मी टेस्ट। यहाँ पे बोल रहा है कि with the options as standard, none of maths से perfectly after the corresponding evidence वो option B would be right. The good part is like seriously options B like let me open that one. Look at this. इसका आंसर ऑप्शन B। तो it's too surprising कि फर्स्ट जे एडवांस का फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन का आंसर वो दिया। ओके, B 9 divided by 11x kind of thing. So again मैं फिर से मैं दिखा रहा हूँ 9 upon 11x plus 13 upon 11 into x to the power 10. So यहाँ पे वही है 13 upon 11 into x to the power 10. Okay? Yeah. So be honest, first shot में इसका आंसर आना it's amazing. So let me try the second question. दो ही try करेंगे यार, it's like too much, it's too much time to compute. Maybe we can try the third question. So let me yeah third question. Yeah, दूसरे सेक्शन में is there any question we need to ask? No. ठीक है, we'll ask the 8th number questions like what is the value of 4x plus 5y. Okay, तो same question, इसको फिर से स्क्रीनशॉट करते हैं और फिर से पूछते हैं। और why not will एक नई टैब में करते हैं। या यहाँ पर मैंने सेम प्रॉम्प्ट डाला है कि toughest mathematical problem the answer should be in the digit. तो इतनी हिंट तो दे सकते हैं like if we couldn't then also we will find, but again चेक करते हैं like yeah Hopefully ये भी दे दे, then we'll read there कि O3 is genuinely is the like a sort of easy lesson. But is genuinely is the like a sort of easy lesson. But
GI.
what the hell? What the hell? Within a 22 seconds, it is giving a phenomenal result. Definitely इसका आंसर 8 है. Like this is giving the phenomenal totally fucking answer. Look at this. Like see, इसका आंसर 8 है. So genuinely we can see कि फर्स्ट शॉट में दो जे एडवांस क्वेश्चंस मैंने डाला, दोनों का आंसर सही दे रहा है वो. लाइक आई एम वेरी श्योर, आई एम वेरी बुलिश आल्सो, लाइक इट विल पुट ऑल द क्वेश्चंस वन बाय वन, so definitely we'll get a final answer. But this is the crazy, guys. This is the crazy intelligence of the O3, we can say, or I don't know internally what is happening, but this is too scary, guys.
Crazy. And you want to crunchy? No, DS is not fun. नहीं खिलाए ना भाई अनुराग नहीं खिलाए ना तुम.
अरे हमको ना रोज सोनी लिव का इसमें चालू करना है.
हाँ
सोनी लिव
क्या सुने लिव?
चैनल आता है ना.
हाँ तो
इसको देखना है, इसको बिना इसको पीछे क्यों नहीं?
डायरेक्ट सुने लिव का वो वेबसाइट में देख सकते हो ना. लेकिन भाई तुम नहीं खिला रहे हो हमको, वो बुरा लग रहा है.
साले आज तो तुमको खिलाना पड़ेगा.
जाओ भाई ठीक है, आज दोनों भूखे रहेंगे. चलो ठीक है भाई, तुम चाहते हो हम भूखे सो जाएं, कोई बात नहीं. गिल्ट में डाल देंगे.
कल बोलते हैं साले इसको भाई वहाँ पे मैं रखता हूँ.
क्या
बाथरूम से निकलने के बाद आदमी पैर और साफ कर देंगे कचरे में मारता.
अरे भाई ये पूरा इसका गांड मार देती है.
भाई ये ठेल के इधर कर.
ये टेबल है, इसका वाट लगा देती है.
भाई देने के लिए तैयार रहती है. बताए रही
कुछ भी भाई.
स्टार्टिंग आई थी ना बहुत चिपकी थी. मेरे को याद आ गया सावलान इंडिया. ये लोग कैसे पहले चिपकते हैं
फिर सिस्टम बना देते हैं.
निकालो बे.
ज़्यादा नहीं, 3 गो. अरे यार हमसे क्यों नहीं चिपक रहा है कोई?
साले सबको लगता है कि ये
हाँ
मोटो वाली हरकत करता है क्योंकि बॉडी बनाने से हमारा इंसान नहीं बनता है. यहाँ पर ताकत होनी चाहिए. काम है.
चेक करोगे?
देख अभी पूरा फरमा खड़ा है. एक बार ये ऐसे करेगा ना, इधर सवा देगा.
What is MongoDB Realm? Imagine you're building a mobile app that needs to handle data in real time, whether users are online or offline. This is where MongoDB Realm comes into play. MongoDB Realm is an advanced mobile database and serverless application platform designed to make app development easier and more efficient. One of the key features of MongoDB Realm is its real-time data synchronization. This means that data is synced across all devices and between the client and server in real time, ensuring that all users have the latest data instantly. This is particularly useful for applications like messaging apps, collaborative platforms, and social media apps where immediate updates are essential. Another significant benefit is its serverless architecture. This approach eliminates the need for managing servers, allowing your app to scale automatically based on demand. It simplifies the back-end development process and operational management, making it easier for developers to focus on the app itself rather than the infrastructure. MongoDB Realm also offers offline data access, which is crucial for applications that need to function even without a stable internet connection. The offline-first database allows users to access and modify data locally, and these changes are synced with the server once connectivity is restored. This feature ensures continuous app functionality, even in areas with unreliable internet. The platform seamlessly integrates with MongoDB, a leading NoSQL database, which is ideal for managing and querying data efficiently, especially in data-intensive apps. This integration supports flexible schema changes and migration with minimal disruption, making it easier to handle diverse and semi-structured data. Security is a top priority with MongoDB Realm, providing comprehensive authentication and authorization mechanisms. It supports various identity providers and custom authentication methods, ensuring that user access is managed securely and data is protected. MongoDB Realm is cross-platform compatible, supporting iOS, Android, Flutter, React Native, and web frameworks. This versatility makes it a great choice for developers working on different types of applications, from mobile apps to web applications. In summary, MongoDB Realm is a powerful tool for developers, offering real-time data synchronization, serverless architecture, offline data access, and seamless integration with MongoDB, all while ensuring robust security and cross-platform compatibility. These features make it an ideal solution for a wide range of applications, including social media, collaborative editing, e-commerce, and gaming apps.
Recently, I volunteered my time at a hospice center for dying programmers, also known as X, and I asked the question, you're on your deathbed. A kid comes to your side and says, Grandpa, I want to learn how to code. What do you regret most about programming? My immediate answer would be something like, leave me alone, kid, and let me die in peace. But if a kid comes to your side and says, Grandpa, I want to learn how to code. What do you regret most about programming? My immediate answer would be something like, leave me alone, kid, and let me die in peace. But it's actually an interesting question because programming is not like most careers. It has billions of possible paths with many conflicting opinions and no single right way to do things. Despite its unpredictable nature, I found that there are some universal traps that nearly every developer regrets falling into. And in today's video, we're going to look at 10 of them. Regret number 1, I wish I would have written less code. It's extremely important to understand that code is not an asset, it's a liability. Every block of code is something that you'll have to maintain in the future and something that could break your application entirely. Beginners don't write a lot of code because they don't know how, but as they gain more experience, they start writing more code. Eventually, everybody realizes that less is more, and the total lines of code decrease while productivity increases. However, someday you may transcend to the genius level 10x engineer, at which point the lines of code you produce will go negative. I, for one, am not afraid to admit that I regret 99% of the code I've written. I distinctly remember feeling like a genius when I implemented my first abstraction factory singleton proxy decorator in JavaScript. However, a few years later, an angel came to me in a dream and said, bro, you could have just made that a regular function. An idiot admires complexity, a genius admires simplicity. And at that point I realized my entire life was a lie. Simplicity is always a good thing to strive for, but there's a lot of other trade-offs to consider, like readability, performance, maintainability, testability, reusability, and so on. In addition, what's the definition of simplicity? Is it about brevity or readability, or something else entirely? In my opinion, it all comes down to time. The goal is to minimize the amount of time anyone has to spend messing around with your garbage code. Regret number 2, I wish I would have learned to code earlier. When you're young, your brain is highly optimized for learning, but as you get old and crusty and your pineal gland is calcified by the fluoride in the water, your ability to learn becomes diminished. That's why most world-class musicians start at a very young age. Now, you can learn to play the piano or learn to code at any age. Hell, I learned how to play the triangle well into my 30s, but if you start learning how to code when you're 2 or 3 years old, you should easily be able to land a 6-figure job by the time you're 13. Now, most people won't admit it, but there's definitely ageism in tech. Employers will often prefer a younger programmer with a more malleable brain, and that's why the median age of programmers around the world is around 30. Obviously, starting young is great for a lot of things. I wish I would have bought Microsoft's the world if younger around 30.
16%.
Obviously, starting young is great for a lot of things. I wish I would have bought Microsoft stock back in the 80s. The only problem is that I wasn't born yet. So if you want to learn how to code, the best time to start is in the womb, but the second best time is right now, because we're not getting any younger. Before we move on to the next one thing I don't regret is installing the Chrome plugin for daily.dev, the sponsor of today's video. It's a completely free tool that keeps you up to speed on developer news, so you never miss out on the latest new game-changing JavaScript framework. It's a tool built by developers for developers to curate all the information you need in the programming space. But most importantly, it's a great place to network with other like-minded developers. Not only will you find discussions throughout the site, but you can also join squads to network with other professionals using the same tech stack as you. It's truly an amazing resource, and at the low price of free, really every developer should be part of the daily.dev community. And that brings us to regret number 3. I wish I would have finished more projects. This is what my side projects directory looks like, and of all these projects, I finished maybe 2 or 3 of them. Finishing a software project almost always takes way longer than you'll estimate. There's something called the 90-90 rule, where when you feel like you're 90% done with a project, you still have 90% to go. It's not like building a bridge where everything is laid out in a blueprint. With software, you'll almost always have all kinds of unexpected things come up, and if you're a solo developer, you might get distracted and just quit the project and start something entirely new from scratch. I've done that more times than I can count. In fact, I'm even considering not finishing this video. In retrospect though, I really regret not finishing those projects. I don't even want to think about all the hours hours flushed down the toilet with nothing to show for it. However, it's also important to be honest with yourself and recognize when your app sucks. Some projects just aren't worth finishing, and sometimes knowing when to cut your losses is even more important than finishing a project. Regret number 4. I wish I would have gotten a computer science degree. Going to college is not the most efficient way to learn how to code. You'll learn far more in a real-world job or by building things on your own. And you don't need a degree to get a job even at big tech companies, but going to college and networking and doing internships is the most surefire way to get a high-paying job in tech at a young age. And there are many jobs out there that do require a degree, even though it's arguably pointless. What you don't want to do is get scammed like all these millennials who went to college for a useless degree like Egyptian studies, only to find out that there's no jobs in that field, so they go back to school to get a PhD in Egyptian studies to teach other kids Egyptian studies, creating a literal pyramid scheme. Speaking of pyramid schemes, regret number 5, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin in 2010. Had you invested $100 in Bitcoin when it was at 25 cents, you'd be worth about 25 million today. That makes me sad, but it does bring me some joy to realize that there are people out there that bought Bitcoin at that price point only to throw away their hard drive and are now out there searching through landfills to try to find them. Watching their suffering makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Regret number 6. I wish I would have learned lower level languages like C. Most programmers today start by learning high level languages like Python and JavaScript, and you can build an entire career without ever learning anything lower than that. But that begs the question, are you a real programmer? And the answer is no. No, you are not. Luckily though, all you have to do is learn the basics of C, which is a lot easier than you might think. You can learn it in 100 seconds or watch channels like Low Level Learning. Either way, once you write your first segfault, you officially become a real programmer. But seriously, even if you don't need a low-level language, learning the basics of C will just make you a better programmer. I started with high-level languages like Java and PHP. However, if I could go back, I would have learned C first because it gives you such a great foundation for everything else. Regret number 7, JavaScript on the server. Personally, I don't regret JavaScript on the server at all. I use the JavaScript in the browser. I use it to build mobile apps, desktop apps, smart fridge apps. I use it for machine learning and for VR and everything in between, including on the server. And I have no regrets. JavaScript may not be the most CPU and memory efficient, including on the server. And I have no regrets. JavaScript may not be the most CPU and memory efficient language on the server. It may not have true type safety, and some of its NPM packages may try to mine crypto on your server. But for me, being able to write JavaScript on the server results in much faster development and iteration because you've got a single language across the entire tech stack. Regret number 8, grinding LeetCode. Many developers dream of getting into a big tech corporation like Google, Microsoft, or Pied Piper. But to do that, you'll need to get past a technical interview or multiple technical interviews. But the only way to get good at algorithms is to practice. Like many programmers, I've spent countless hours practicing on LeetCode, but every single time my solution is to brute force it with a hash table. In retrospect though, I regret wasting all this time here because the pinnacle of my career has been teaching people how to center divs on YouTube. Regret number 9, I wish I would have prioritized my health earlier. Sitting on your ass in front of a computer all day is one of the least healthy activities you can do. According to science, it's right up there with obesity and smoking. If you combine this activity with high amounts of stress and a bad diet, chances are your heart's going to explode by the time you're 30. I think a lot of people underestimate the dangers of this career. There's no way to avoid being in front of a computer, but there's a lot of things you can do to reduce the risk, like get a standing desk, take regular breaks, and don't consume products like Prime, which is currently being sued for having a massive amount of cancer-causing PFAs inside every bottle. In addition, when you take care of your physical health, your mental health and sharpness will also improve as a result, thus making you a better programmer. And finally, that brings us to regret number 10. I wish I never would have learned to code in the first place. I've always found writing code very satisfying, but sometimes it feels like we're not doing anything real. Like we're just creating fake vaporware for a boss with a fake job title who needs to hit KPIs for some fake performance metrics to make some fake money for investors. I envy the scuba instructor who gets to swim with turtles all day, or the paramedic who saves lives every day. These jobs might not pay as well, but at least they feel real. I fear in my final moments, my grandchild will inquire about my life's accomplishments, and the most impressive feat I can muster is something like, well son, back in 24, I once managed to fix a production bug while only creating 3 more bugs in the process. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. So this will be a full guide on how to use a MongoDB Realm as a local database in your Android application. In this video, I will give you a full guide on the Realm database, which is a valuable alternative to our already known Room database we like to use for Android. And in many aspects, Realm is actually the better database. So we'll first go over what Realm actually is and how it compares to Room. We'll go over its advantages, its disadvantages, so you can also get a feeling for which kind of projects Realm might be the better database for and which projects Room might be better suited. And after that, we'll already dive directly into practice and build our little demo app that I have prepared for you here. And that won't be just a very simple database. I intentionally chose a little bit more complex database here that isn't just a single table of a nodes or so. No, we will have multiple different kinds of relations here as well, so you can also directly learn how that works with Realm compared with Room. In this case, we will just work with sample data, since that's all you need to learn in order to use Realm. So as you can see, we have a list of programming courses here: Kotlin programming made easy, Android basics, and asynchronous programming with coroutines. So with multiple courses in our database, each course is held by a teacher. So you can see held by John Doe, and Jane Doe. Then each course can have multiple students who are enrolled in that course. So here you can see enrolled students, John Jr., Jane Jr., and here both John and Jane Jr. And last but not least, if we click on a course, then we get to see the address of the teacher. So you can see John Doe Street, and so on. And we can also delete this entry, so you can also learn how deletion works. So in this course, you will learn all the CRUD aspects of Realm, so how you can create new entries in your Realm database, how you can save new data, how you can read data and query that, how you can update existing data, and lastly, how you can delete data. Like here, if we click on delete, then this entry is deleted. And even if we then close the app and relaunch it, then you will see that it's really persisted here, and we don't have this third entry anymore. So what the heck is actually Realm? Realm is a database that is optimized for mobile applications, so for developers just like us. And the company that maintains it is exactly the same company that also maintains MongoDB, as you can see. So Realm by MongoDB. So it's not some kind of random developer who just thought, I will make a new database framework. No, that is actually quite a big company that is behind such a database framework, which I think is very important, since that is the library you might use in pretty much any project out there, or most of the projects out there, and then you want to be sure that this is also maintained properly. When it comes to data storage, Realm works differently compared to Room. So with Room, we have an underlying SQLite database where we just store our data in form of tables and relations, and then we can query that with normal SQL queries. Realm does not work like that. Realm saves its data in an object format. And that is actually cool, because if we use Realm on Kotlin side, then that doesn't really require a lot of knowledge about databases, since if you know how to work with Kotlin classes, then it will also feel very intuitive to work with Realm objects. And with that, we already come to the advantages of Realm over Room. So on the one hand, I think Realm is much easier to implement and more intuitive than a Room database, even if you have multiple relations. So if you want to implement a Room database, you definitely have to know how SQL works. You need to know SQL queries. You need to know how relations work and how you just come up with a schema in the first place that doesn't only work, but is also optimized and that doesn't accidentally save data twice or so. And when using Realm, it just felt a little bit less error prone to me than Room. Then the next big advantage is that Realm uses a mechanism called zero copy access. And that is just a way how data is actually accessed after queries, and that zero copy access makes Realm usually the more efficient database compared with Room and with SQL databases. Because the thing with Realm is, when you are querying data, then you are interacting with a representation that directly reflects the stored data. So there's no really intermediate step of data conversion, which we have with Room, however. Because the way Room works is, it's actually something called an ORM. That is just kind of a framework which gets built on top of an already existing database. So the existing database framework is SQLite, but Room is built on top of that. So we actually have an easier life when implementing such an SQLite database on Android. But that means if we query data with Room, then first of all, the SQLite database queries that data and returns all the results just as very raw data, which Room will then still need to iterate over and convert that stored data to Kotlin data classes. And this intermediate step is just not necessary with Realm, because it directly converts the data that is saved on our device in the database to Kotlin representations. And that just usually makes Realm the faster database. The next big advantage of Realm is that it works for Kotlin multi-platform. So if you're building a KMP project
potentially for desktop, for iOS, then you can also use Realm to share all your data logic. Next up, we also have less boilerplate code than Room. So if you've worked with Room before, you have tons of annotations, you have a database class with more annotations, you will have to implement the DAO, you have to implement all the functions to access your database, and with Realm, that is just a
Hi guys, welcome to Coding Ambitions. Today we will learn about Kotlin multi-platform. So
Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video and a new on Kotlin multi-platform and Compose multi-platform, because those two technologies are more and more becoming a viable option in the cross-platform space. And in this play, it's a lot less. Next up, which I already talked about a little bit, but with Realm, it's just not so easy to do something wrong because Realm always works with transactions. So especially when you need to work on multiple tables at once and save data that you only want to save if all these write transactions actually worked and succeeded, then with Realm, since it already uses that by default, you can't do that much wrong. But with Room, you can also do transactions, but you always have to keep that in mind that data consistency is achieved. Okay, that sounds pretty positive for Realm, does it? Yes, but there are also two disadvantages or 2 points where Room is definitely on the upper side here. On the one hand is that Room heavily focuses on
mindset मराठी प्लेटफॉर्म
मतलब
तुम्हारे सामने तुम्हारी बीवी का एक सपना
क्या?
तुम्हारी बीवी कहीं बाहर होगी लेकिन वहीं तो उसका पुराना वाला है
पिल दिया जाएगा.
compile
उसके साथ मिलकर तुमको परिवार चालू कर दी
time validation of your schema and your queries. So that means if you implement a Room schema, so just your database, your relations, which table interact with which table, you implement your SQL queries in real SQL code, then Room will already validate that schema and check it for errors before you can even launch your app. So if you can launch your app that implements a Room database and that launching works, then you can be very sure that there is at least no error in your schema and your queries. Of course, these queries could still be kind of incorrect and not querying what you want, but you can be sure that they are syntactically correct. On the other hand, if you mess up something with your Realm schema, then you'll only notice that when your app is already launched and then crashes. And another disadvantage of Realm is that queries just can't be as complex as normal SQL queries, which you can use in Room. So querying complex data in Realm definitely works, so you can also join tables, you have tons of operators you can use in your queries, but you can quickly just hit a wall when things become more complex than that. So for example, if you want to sort your result entries from that query in Realm based on the length of a specific string in that collection, in that table, then that doesn't seem to work with Realm yet, even though that would be pretty simple to do in Room. So just be aware that it can happen if you implement a Realm database, that at some point you might face issues with your queries that you didn't think of before, which you will then have to work around. But other than that, from this comparison, I think Realm is usually the clear winner. Of course, if you have a project that heavily relies on SQL queries, then Realm might not be the best fit here. But if I had to pick one that I use for the rest of my life at this present moment, then it's probably Realm. Oh wait, now I think you know the theory you have to know in order to use Realm. So let's dive into coding and see how we can
कल किया जाएगा. अब थक गया आदमी पढ़ के भी. जो कितना पढ़ा जाएगा बताओ, कितना